So in these last 30 days, I added over $700 in new MRR to my Skool community. I did this with about 2,300 about page visitors this month, 97 signups, and a conversion rate of about 4.2%. I just want to break down my process behind this, how I was able to test it so that I can get signups almost evenly from these different traffic sources, what I would do different, what I plan on changing moving forward, and how I plan on doubling these numbers next month. So when I look at my dashboard, the first thing I look at is the amount of about page visitors that I got this past month. Now, this is a direct correlation with the amount of new MRR. This is consistent for like almost every group. The more about page visitors you get, of course, the more signups you'll get. If your conversion rate holds, then the more MRR you get. Now, at a glance, I'm like, okay, if I did this with 2,300 visitors, what does this look like when I double the amount of about page visitors, right? If I go from 2,300 to 4,600 about page visitors, right? Is this going to be the same? Am I just going to double the amount of new MRR that I get? Is my conversion rate going to go down? Is it going to go up, right? We don't know, but that's my first thought is like, okay, how could I raise this number as much as possible, maybe even double it in this next month? But because I spent so much time looking at other Skool communities and what they're doing, another thing that sticks out to me is the fact that my MRR grew by so little. So I've looked at dashboards from other Skool groups, and even on the leaderboards in Skool, you can see how many about page visitors someone is getting. And there's people with much less visitors than me, but are smoking me in terms of new MRR. I'm seeing people with in the 1,500 range getting, over 2,000 in new MRR from less visitors than I have. And a bit of that is the free trial conversion rate because I do have a free trial turned on. But the bigger factor is the cost to join the Skool community. So my school is still low ticket, it's cheap. It's only $20 to join and then $34 for the premium membership. Some of these schools with a lot less visitors and more new MRR, some of them are up to like $1,900 a month for their group. Some are like 99, some are 297, right? So something to consider. It makes me curious about what I can do to be able to charge more and not have my conversion rate drop too low when I continue to raise the price. The main thing is I want to increase the amount of about page visitors, but at the same time, figure out how I can charge more for my Skool community because people are able to get more from less. So now how was I able to get an almost even distribution of signups from traffic sources? Right. So now Skool, I have no control over this. I mean, I can go in other communities and post things and do the networking thing that people do on Skool groups, but I don't do that. So my assumption is that most of the new members that are coming from Skool are coming from Growth Boost. And if you know anything about Growth Boost, you know that the more traffic you get on your own, the more Skool will boost you in their ads as well. And you start getting higher up in the trending page. And I saw that my group was in the trending page at some point. It was far back. It was like in the 30s, but still it was in that trending category. And yeah, I don't even factor Skool into this. Like whatever happens with that happens. So no control over that for me. Now, Facebook at the start of this month was my number one source. It was higher. So what I spent more of my time doing, because once I launched my ads, I think over a month and a half ago at this point, I haven't touched them since. I'll go in maybe every other day, but weekly is when I'll make a slight change depending on the results that I'm getting. But other than that, I'm not touching Facebook at all. That's just constantly running this machine running. So for me to get my signups higher from Instagram and email, so direct here is email. What I did for Instagram was at first I was planning on posting more, but then I realized that I was getting a bunch of DMs from this ad. And I talked about this ad in another video, I think the previous video. And this has been responsible for a lot of my signups, my direct signups from the ads, but also a lot of Instagram engagement. And this is something that I didn't even know about. I checked my DMs on my community's Instagram and I never checked the DMs. There's like the primary, general, and then the request. And I had at least 10 requests from people asking about this ad, this specific ad. So this tells me a lot about the ad and that I should continue to make this style of ads. I'm gonna have a video on this, how these like lifestyle sort of POV ads. But this is my highest performer by far, again, in terms of getting direct signups, but also engagement. And this engagement, again, is good for retargeting. In Meta, you don't have to manually retarget these people. Meta will typically start with the lowest hanging fruit when showing your ads to people. So if you're getting engagement from something, keep it running so that Meta has a bigger pool of people to target. But yeah, so instead of posting more on Instagram, which I was planning to do to boost the amount of traffic that I get from Instagram, I just had a bunch of DMs to respond to. And when people liked the post or they commented or they engaged in any sort of way, I would reach out to them and ask them how their journey on Skool was going so far. And I was able to get people to sign up directly through the DMs. And that's why I have this for both, because again, people were joining direct and people were also engaging on Instagram. Now, email was simple. I usually email once per week, and I just upped it to 3 times per week in the last 2 weeks to see if I would get more signups from email, and I did. So there was a correlation between the amount of emails that I'm sending and the amount of signups that I'm getting. Again, the people on my email list are not members of my Skool community. I have that segmented out so that if anyone ever joins my Skool community, they go into a separate segment. And if someone is on my list but not currently a member, I have them in a different segment. So the non-members I email frequently with the intention of getting them to join the group. And now the biggest lesson, if you look, all of my signups are coming from everywhere but YouTube. And I've spent hours making YouTube videos, editing videos, coming up with thumbnails, ideas, titles, and not a single sign up. I got an affiliate, but I didn't get a single sign up from YouTube. So I will make some changes to how I'm making videos. I will continue to upload, but I'm not going to put in too much time in editing and coming up with background music and doing all these. I'm going to make my YouTube videos as raw as possible. The goal for me is to record these in one take. And the reason why I'm going to continue to do this, even though it doesn't seem like I should because it's not producing anything for me, is mainly because I can clip up the long form videos, post them as reels on Instagram, and I can boost those posts and see what gets more engagement so I can find more ads. But I'm honestly just going to be recording the YouTube videos and uploading them and treating it as like a placeholder for me to just store the videos, maybe just document my process and take the highlights from the long form videos and post them. I'm not expecting YouTube to do anything for me anytime soon, but I'm still going to upload. So that's my takeaways from looking at my dashboard this month. It's raising the amount of about page visitors I can get and thinking about how I can increase my price so that I can get the same or less amount of visitors, but get more new MRR.